Hey, we're live. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Teachers Lounge podcast presented by Beat Refinery DJ School at Bakta Rock. I almost forgot what to say there.
Where are we?
Presented by Beat Refinery DJ School at Bakta Rock. Learn how to make scratch and make music by visiting beatrefinery.com. We have locations nationwide. We do have some of our top DJ instructors here in the building today, as always, every single week. So first up, we got, my name is DJ Geometrics, by the way, and we got Stylist Chris.
What up?
Got DJ Sean J.
Oh yeah.
Sean J.
We got the Doc Plus.
What up?
And we got as one.
It's electric.
As one. Lee, what is it? Art Lee as one.
Art and Lee as one.
Essentially.
I like that.
Inside jokes, guys, but you know,
yes.
They got me rolling over here.
Fellas, how was everybody?
Oh man,
Sean, what'd you do?
I had a festive weekend. I was back in DC at residency at what was formerly the W Hotel, and brought my wife and our dog down. So we had a overnight from Friday into Saturday after I did my gig. Crashed at the hotel. I did some sightseeing with the puppy, and life was good.
Formerly,
I had a wedding on Saturday. What's up?
You said formerly. What's it called now?
Oh, it's the Washington Hotel. They changed the name back to what it used to be called.
Really?
The ownership and management changed. And now the name POV is what the lounge was, and now it's View. VU.
Oh, I thought you said point of view.
Instead of point of POV, it's VUE.
Some genius face on the team came.
So who bought it?
Some independent hotel company. It's not even Marriott had it before,
That's
and
what I'm
Marriott
saying.
sold
So
it. Yeah,
the W is they let it go. I'm surprised.
I'm very surprised about that one. But I went from the club gig to the wedding gig Friday into Saturday, and I missed the chance to catch you at the wharf, Stylist Chris.
Oh yeah, fun times down there.
What'd you do, Chris, over the weekend? Where'd you travel to?
Friday I was at the wharf doing, wrapping up. We have that's the last week of the summer series, and that was a lot of fun. Fun gig always. Great people watching down at the wharf, DC. Man, it's like such a great area to go down and hang out. And then Saturday I had a real fun wedding, high-end wedding in Potomac, Maryland, private residence. It's like at least a 14-piece band. Like when there's 3 horns, I'm always really excited when there's 3 horns. When you got sax, trombone, and a trumpet. It was nice. And they had put my DJ booth like as in the center, so it was like stage with 15 musicians and singers, and the DJ booth like kind of center backstage vocal, because I did a lot of stuff in and out of their sets. Like,
Did you have a DJ booth where you had like a musical note in front of it, so you can match with the band?
Like a tuner, just like listening the whole time.
A big, nice
DJ
big
rectangle
nice big white surround.
But in like the 12 the Camelot system.
Yes, exactly.
7A. We're 7A, guys.
Yeah. No, it's
Nice.
fun. It's fun to be like the percussionist, basically. That's what I am, the percussionist with the bands. And I've got like probably a couple hundred different loops. And then I've even got one shot, so I can just make a rhythm using cue points. And it's fun, man. It's fun to just strictly have to mix by ear. And the drummers love it, because once, like, what I'll do is I'll lock to him, and then once he hears it, then he'll reverse and lock to me, and so now he's got a click track, basically.
Yeah. He switches off to there's a click track. This
Yeah.
guy,
Yeah, I just wait, and I come in smooth. Usually I wait, because we do it all free flowing. We never make it up as we go along.
It's the best
I mean,
part about stuff.
we never practice it, so it's
Sure,
just make it up as we go along. I've got a few things now where, like, I got some vocal samples that go with certain songs that all the bands do, but for the most part, it's just kind of like, what's missing, or where can I? And I've finally gone and like organized my library. So it's like all these tambourine loops in one spot and triangles in one spot and congas and, you know, various rhythms. Like there's a couple times now where I'll just throw the 4/4 kick drum on there for him. So he's like, yes. Like
just build it out a little bit.
Yeah, just like, especially when they try to do like Rihanna, any of the Rihanna songs. Like, it's nice to have a kick, you know, like a real like 808 kick in there. So
when are you gonna bring out the drum pad and drumsticks like Trey's does?
Like Trey's.
No, that's next level. No, I would never. Like, you gotta understand too. Most of these bands have like touring drummers. Like these wedding bands have jazz band, like guys that gig full year round as a drummer. Like they're freaking ridiculous how good they are. It's like it'd be kind of silly to bring any kind of drum kit where there's a drummer that's like, unless you're gonna let
sticks and they look at you sideways.
I like my drum kit.
Yeah, Chris and the drummer are throwing drumsticks.
Well,
unless you're DJ Newmark, where you got like
a
one
move,
of those, like,
man.
where he brings out like the toy drum sets, and then,
that's,
you know, it's like,
that's
how you can stick
show,
out.
Actually, that's a great.
That's
I want to see
factor.
him bring that show back around.
oh my
That
gosh,
was so much fun, man.
That'd be really cool. See that at like 9:30 Club or Anthem.
Yeah. Doc,
Yeah,
did you
at the Jurassic 5 shows, man? Live.
those are always good shows. Doc, did you play with any drummers this weekend?
I didn't play with actually. Well, so I managed to sound at the Flat in Houston. Another huge shout out to DJ Sun.
Son.
And Reed of the 18th Street Lounge, who came down to visit for the weekend. And
Shouts to Fareed. Yeah.
huge shout out to Fareed. It was awesome. Seriously, such a special weekend. I mean, no joke. It was. They're doing these things now, and it's really awesome to be able to help out with this. They do like they'll start at 6 in the afternoon and on Saturdays and do like a mini fest. Well, they'll have like a lineup of like 3 or 4 artists that come in with like vendors outside, like out on their patio. They'll have like they had like incense, they had like farm to table food, they had like really cool like visual painters and stuff. And then inside the Flat, then you have people performing. So first it was Sun's daughter Trinity, who was on a ukulele and singing, and it was just awesome. And then came in another local artist from Houston who had this awesome performance. I just want to real quick like shout him out because he did this thing where he started singing like something like real chill, and it was a vibe. Like it was like real nice and calming. And he goes, hold up. Reset. Like they just like rewind the back.
Rewind selector.
And then he's like, hold on, I'm not feeling that. I want to turn up right now. And then like asked the DJ to play like another more hype song, and then like got everyone like moving a little bit more. And you know, we're on a DJ. We're at a DJ school right now. So I love what he told me later on. I was like, dude, that was hilarious. And he goes, well, dude, I actually just totally forgot the lyrics. So he made it look like he just wanted to hype it up and go somewhere else, which was dope, and it did work. But he's like, dude, I just had I forgot the lyrics, so we had to switch it out.
Oh wow,
that is a
like,
really good
well done,
pro
man.
musician moment.
Yeah,
the show's got to go on.
Yeah, so props to him. And then we had this other live act who had like his Novation keyboard and everything. And then we had Samson, who did she like was helping out with the organization of the whole event too. And then by that time it was like 9 p.m. They went to 10 and had the live. So that was like all the live music. And then we had DJs come on. So then Malcolm and Sabinin open things up. Fareed comes in, and man, I just gotta say that whole night, like from 6 to 2 in the morning, was just like this magical time. Like just people expressing themselves, good energy, incense, Palo Santo, and Fareed was killing it, man. He was so happy to be there. Like it was a lot of fun.
well, dope, man.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Curated vibe.
Shout out to DJ Sun and Fareed, man.
Yeah.
For me, I did a wedding on Saturday. I had a drive all the way out to Easton, Maryland, which is past the Bay Bridge. I'm sure Sean
I'm gonna
and
be there
Art,
on Friday.
yeah, so I did the Tidewater Inn,
I know that.
and
Here's St. Michael's.
Hmm?
St. Michael's.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that area, but it's like, yeah, it's like past the Bay Bridge, and then
It's
you know,
south. Yeah, I'm actually staying over there, and over the course of the weekend, I got 3 gigs out there this weekend.
it's like the way you go,
It's
when
about-
you're heading out to like Rehoboth or
Ocean City, yeah.
Ocean
It's
City,
beautiful
yeah.
out there.
halfway.
But yeah, there's like a small
Halfway.
town, small. I guess they Maryland signs. I think it's like a small. They have like big signs that says small historic Maryland town or whatever. But it's one of those small towns. But yeah, but that wedding, it was fun, super fun, super fun. I played a lot of mostly a lot of like EDM house joints, but
EDM bangers, man.
Yes.
That's what we want to hear tonight.
but this is the first wedding I really felt like I was like, like the only person that kind of came in and wore a mask.
Oh yeah.
Nobody, like none of
else
the
cared.
vendors, wore masks.
We
None of
outdoor?
the
Out
So-
there, I could have told you that.
Well, the ceremony cocktail I was outdoor, but then like inside, it's like, yeah, like for indoors, none of the vendors was wearing a mask, and I'm like, all right,
Oh,
feel like the odd
vendors.
person out,
Oh,
Yeah.
So I was like, all right,
Once you cross that Bay Bridge, it's a whole nother.
yeah, it's a
Maryland.
different situation out there.
1,000%. I was just gonna say it's not like like where I live in Montgomery County. It's like where Chris was saying, Potomac and Bethesda, where the school's at, guys.
Yep.
Downtown Bethesda. Yeah, it's one world, and then there's again, if you look at Maryland's license plates, one of the license plates was America's Farmlands, or Preserve America's Farmlands. Like
Wow,
there's a lot of
that.
farming.
Oh yeah, like I drove by a lot of farms on the way in, but yeah, it's like it's a nice town. I might
Move
like
out there?
no, I might visit it because like I think they have like a lot of
got some
really nice.
fishing
It's like a nice like I guess like a day trip.
Yo,
You know,
there's
go
a
out there and check it out.
I will tell you, hit me
real
up
quiet.
later. Hit me up after this, bro. I will give you some places to go. There's a really dope restaurant you should hit up right around there. And there's some like a really good bait tackle shop you got to check out. I know you're in that stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
When do you get a boat?
shout out to
When do you
Easton.
get a boat, Gio?
Huh?
When do you get a boat? When's the
Uh,
fishing boat in the horizon?
Yeah, you know it's gonna
I
come.
don't know.
It's gonna come.
His wife's in the background like, stop giving him these
I mean,
ideas."
eventually it will come, but like not anytime soon. But
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah. Speaking of weddings, Art, what weddings did you do this weekend?
Well, yeah, I guess I did one specifically on Saturday. It was also it was over the Bay Bridge for sure. Maybe not as far as Easton, definitely not as far. It was in Severn, Maryland. However, right next to the right near the bay, Round Bay Beach, I want to say. First time I've been there. Lovely area. However, this was an interesting gig nonetheless. I think coming into it, I realized that the clients were pretty. They were a little nervous, right? Totally normal. Pre-wedding jitters, week of, totally get it. I'm super calm though, so we go into it. I think it starts off with the I hear the best man during his speech say, these folks like the way things they like it, and blah blah blah. And I kind of I was like, wait, what was that? And so already I got in my notes. It's like music requests are only from the best man. So I thought, oh, that's an interesting way to do it. But whatever. We get into dancing, and sure enough, best man, he was basically like personal assistants and their personal assistant almost, and it was cool. I did the party. I crushed it. All the guests came up. I was high-fiving people. People were hugging me. One auntie was getting a little too close to me. Someone had to pull her away. It was a great time. However, I definitely was micromanaged with the playlist, and it was a little interesting because I know as DJs we tend to have this. We go with the artist side of it. When you're on stage, you're hitting it, man, and you know that you're being praised for your decisions on what you're doing and the songs that you're selecting. But when you're in a situation like that at a private event, you got to think outside of yourself sometimes and realize that it's not about you. It's for them. And however, you might not be able to mix the way you want. You got to do your best. So I kind of took the producer DJing approach for most of it, and I was just doing really like echo, reverb, echo, backspin out, stuff like that, just to get to other songs. And also kind of just doing like even some basic radio fading stuff. Another quick tip, guys, radio fading is actually really a technique you guys should always remember can happen, because you can use different BPMs, but just remember to go with the count still. If you're going to mix it in, it's a totally different BPM. Still try to come in on the 1 and then let that fade do the work to get you there. It's better than nothing. Trust me. But and then I basically was micromanaged. A lot of the songs that were on the list that were asked to be played, I was kind of going all over BPMs. And then it came up to Ignition remix. And I remember the best man came up and then he said, "Hey, I asked you to play Ignition like 3 songs ago." And I was like, about that. He was like, "Play it." And I was like, "Okay." so yeah, I ended up having to play the Ignition remix, which made me feel a little weird, because I honestly, I guess we're in the cancel culture days, and I had not played it since, I guess however many years now.
Well, let's go. Well, let's not move to the topic yet, but like, let's go back to there you go. I want to know, were you aware of like, was this based off of like a request list that you already have, or was like these were like on the fly type requests during the party?
Great question. So there was a request list, and there was a lot of requests. And I think between us and the clients, us as in the company and the clients, we kind of tried to let them know that there's a lot here. And if you these are all
like, how much is a lot? Because like I always tell my clients, there is a certain number of like songs that I usually play, like say in a 2-hour, like I always tell them, like, I normally play about maybe 70-ish, songs in like 2 hours,
Sure, I got a healthy list of at least like maybe 50 songs.
50 songs, okay.
Like with a 20.
But is it like a last minute thing that they gave you, or you've already had it? Because I always go through. I sometimes go through like the songs, and I tell them, it's like, there are some songs where I'm like, I know it's not gonna work in the dance floor. Do you really want me to play this? Or if you have like, especially because I'm using the Vivo music app for a lot of my clients.
Well, I'm also about the setup, man. If you want a record that I was already gonna play, and you want it now, but there's a way that I like to set it up.
Of course. You gotta do your prep work, and such. So, or like, but like I always try, whenever I'm trying to deal with, our lower thirds down here is Confessions of a DJ, dealing with what a micromanaging client. I always have to be honest with my clients. Like, like there's, you don't have to give me 200 songs, because like there is a certain amount of songs that I will play.
Trust me, I still have more.
And I always tell them, like, there's no way I'm gonna go through some of your songs. I always be honest. Like, I think this song is gonna work better during dinner, instead of like the party. And then like whenever they ask me, how do you deal with like music requests from like other people? It's like I always tell them, it's like, I'll be honest. Like if it's gonna kill the vibe of the party, I don't play it. I'm not gonna play it at all. So like that's the same thing. It's like if I had time, I'll go through like certain songs, and it's like, all right, this song I definitely know will kill the vibe. This song, are you sure you want me to play it, or do you want me to play it like during dinner or cocktail hour even? Just so it's there. So
one thing that stands out to me is like I'm hearing that Gio, you'll make it clear like that.
Oh yeah,
that this song probably won't work well for the dance, but this like you preload them before being micromanaged.
Because I've done so many thousands of wedding at this point now, like, well, not thousands, but like close to 1,000 probably, hundreds of thousands. But like I know what I know my ideal client now. I know what I want. comfortable with, like, especially if I already know that they're going to be like sort of like a micromanaging type client before I book them. It's like I'll tell them, it's like, sorry, I'm not available, that sort of thing. But I'm always during the interview process, I'm always upfront. I'm always telling them, it's like, this is the amount of songs I usually play. You don't have to pick all of them because I know you guys are busy. Make sure, I make sure I have at least maybe 20 songs, and that'll give me a good idea of, that's my job as a DJ. Well, I have to, fit. Yeah, I have to fill in the blanks. That's my job.
Well, look at this. My thing is, I had 3 hours. We started, say, on time with 3 hours left to basically do the dance.
That's a good dance set. Yeah,
it is, right? So with, say, as many requests I had, and then maybe the 15 must plays. I'm looking to spread them out for 3 hours. That's the first thought for all of us.
But they don't understand that.
They didn't understand that. I they wanted me to blow my wad.
They wanted all the Hostess cupcakes right from the beginning.
From the beginning. Yeah. It was almost like 20-30 for the older folks, and then literally before the first hour, it was like,
going for the bangers.
Going to bangers, dude. And it's like, okay, fine. And it's not that I ran out, but it's like it exhausted their musts, and it was.
So your job, it becomes to pick up the pieces at that point. It's not even about like, all right, how do we make sense of like putting these in the right order? You're just like, okay, we got through the big stuff. We got 2.5 more hours.
Yeah. Like, no, I did a good job at spreading it still, though. Like, I really did, because like I told you guys at the end of the day, it was an awesome party, and I had won everybody over, and that's usually my goal.
I think that's the key point. It's the fine line between, if you're with a client, this is for everybody at this level of trying to figure these things out. I think there's a lot of DJs that go through a point where they still look at themselves as an artist and have what they want to play, and they haven't quite learned at a private event that everybody is there for someone else other than you.
Yeah,
you are there for them.
Everybody, including you.
Yes, you are there for the bride and groom. Or if you were hired, I do certain events where I don't even really ever talk to the bride and groom. I only communicate through the event
with the planner.
And that's just how some old school planners like to do things. They like to
that's true.
Allow the bride and groom. They don't want the bride and groom to have all these conversations going. They want to funnel it all through them. And, so whoever that is, like, you are there for whoever brought you there. Your name is not on the marquee. You're not playing downtown. And like figuring out how to separate those two people is sometimes difficult for DJs. And then what you're dealing with is another layer, because you understand that you are there for them, but they're giving you a working set that might not artistically or creatively work the best way that possible. And so you're almost having to tell yourself, yeah, I know I'm going to play this song, but I have to actually play it in a way where I wouldn't play it because it's when they want to play it now. And walking that tightrope of still presenting that in a way that makes you feel good about it, makes them feel good about it, is very difficult.
But was this like, were you told about like the best man, first of all, being the liaison person, I guess, and then were you told like, okay, they want this in a particular order, or they want it like, soon, or was that talked about? Anything about the playlist, was that talked about during the interview?
No, the first
or
part,
the final meeting.
The first part I knew. In the final meeting, I was told that the best man was going to be the liaison for that. But I also told them that they were almost kind of like, it is for no one to come talk to you except for this gentleman. And in my mind, I understood that, and in reality, I kind of try to tell him like, not going to happen, And he was like, well, this is the way we want it. I'm like, no, I get that, but it's not going to happen. Like, people are going to come up to me.
He doesn't understand.
He doesn't understand. I'm like, you don't understand. People will still come up to me, dude. Like, this is not
especially after a couple drinks.
Yeah,
exactly.
So that happened. Okay. And I couldn't help that. And like I told him, so I covered myself. But like I said, we talked about it briefly, and I thought it was an interesting take because I was like, okay, maybe this gentleman really knows their style,
The crowd,
this,
I
that,
guess. Yeah.
the crowd,
They can be a help for you. You know,
They
It's
can,
like-
yeah. You got the
Yeah,
inside
and I'm not
intel
saying
you might
he
not have
wasn't
known.
helpful, but again, you know,
yeah. I'm just saying, like in tune. Sometimes a guest will come up to any of us and ask.
Well, how would you deal with it,
song.
Chris?
Well, look,
if
here's
you didn't
my
if
one
you didn't
thing.
know they were like this type of client, you know.
Well, here's my one thing. I just know for a fact if they if they could find it in themselves to kind of take this night to ease up and really focus on it, having a good time, they wouldn't have had to worry about all that stuff anyways, because I still would have made it an awesome party. It was almost like they were still working when they were not supposed to be working.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like that's where I'm like, let me work, you know.
You're
And
not
that's
gonna
kind of the
enjoy it
way
as
it
much.
feels.
And that's how you find out, like during the interview process, you know, like is this the ideal client that you want to work with for that day? And I'm like,
Yeah,
and
like-
if it's like a Bridezilla and it's like wants to like really like list out, especially like the ones where it's like, yeah, I want this song to be played at this time and in this order. I'm like, all right, I'm not available for your.
Yeah, I'm booked. Yeah, I don't do that again. I don't play that game anymore.
So
Yeah, Chris, how do you do this?
You know, with your client and the R. Kelly. Let's get back to the R. Kelly. So we can move to our next topic. Did you know that you were gonna have to play R. Kelly beforehand, or that was one of the ones that popped up?
It was in the request list.
But you weren't gonna hit it if you didn't have to.
There were so many songs.
Right. So but you were like, so you know,
I didn't really pay attention to it. And
you know,
then
this has been the R. Kelly conversation's been happening now for about a good year of where
2 years now.
yeah,
Really?
maybe
I was not gonna hit it. As I
It's
said,
all
I
to
hadn't
me
played
1
it.
year because we didn't work for so long. So
Yeah.
True.
Extra year.
it's still 2020 to me.
Right.
So that, you know, as of today, R. Kelly was actually found guilty in court of multiple crimes. He's obviously going to be his sentencing. Who knows? I mean, he could be in jail for a long time, depending on how far. He could be like another Larry Nassar like type level, like 80 years. Who knows? I mean, this guy might never see the light of day again. And it really begs the question: is R. Kelly's music permanently banned? Is it only banned for certain people? Is it so politicized? And then furthermore, like, where do we draw the line? Who else is banned? Is Kanye banned? Is Michael Jackson banned? Is Doja Cat? Like, I'm trying to remember all the people that were canceled over the.
Canceled in.
What was Doja Cat canceled for?
Making cow sounds. I don't know.
I was like on Twitter, you know.
It's a tweet. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, and then like a big thing blew up.
Something about like
Nicki
white
Minaj.
supremacy
People
or
gonna
like Proud
cancel
Boys.
Nicki Minaj. She's got some recent Twitter.
Right, Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj is like friend's cousin's brother. Like, yeah, it's all these things that people get so like emotionally charged with, and we've talked about this in past shows. That, like, things become politicized, and you have to figure out like, all right, myself as a DJ, how do I want to navigate this? This R. Kelly thing has been in my mind like I don't touch it. Especially if it's a predominantly black crowd, because I know from my personal family and extended friends, there's a lot of black people that feel like we were specifically victimized within our community by this guy who people were saying since Aaliyah in the 90s was a sex offender preying on young black girls. And so I'm like, I'm staying far away, but I like art. I do have clients that at private events, like, we love Ignition. It's the one song that everybody may ask for to close out their night. It's everybody knows the words. Like, it's one of those things. And like, if it's not on the list, I don't touch it. And if it's a predominantly black crowd, I'm definitely not touching it because I don't want to get jumped in the parking lot.
Right, but if the client asks you to play it, you're still,
your hands are tied. You have to.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, like, I don't know about. I highly doubt corporate clients will add that to the list. But yeah, definitely like wedding clients. I've seen it. I've played it. But yeah, like I honestly, like with R. Kelly, I mean, I don't mind. I don't mind at all not playing R. Kelly anymore because, like, honestly, yeah, Crystal's right. There's only like maybe like one, maybe two songs that like that I would have played a lot. Like, one was "Step in the Name of Love"
Step
and
in
like
the Name of Love
and Ignition.
Ignition. Ignition remix, because nobody remembers the
Ignition
original
remix,
Ignition.
yes.
I actually, stepping in the name of love is definitely.
Well, the interesting
feel
thing
good.
too is Happy People Step in the Name of Love are culturally like they were black stepping songs. They're like
hand
and
dancing.
so like they went best in that audience, and now and it's like absolutely not. But see, it's funny, Gio, because you say, but then if you search R. Kelly in your Serato, probably and you see all the cameos he's on.
Oh yeah.
And choruses. It opens it up to a.
Now you gotta start editing
and
songs.
there's
you know?
some heat in there. That's the problem. There's so many bangers from that era.
Cassidy.
R. Kelly was trying to outrun the tax man, and he was doing it, man.
Best of both worlds.
And then, you also have clients that, especially over the last couple of years since the Michael Jackson documentary, we all have had clients that will say,
it's controversial. Stay away from it.
and some, I've even had them, on the do not plays, are like, please don't play any Michael Jackson. I know it's controversial, but for me, when I hear a Michael Jackson song, all I can think of is the controversy and not having fun anymore. And so when a client says that to you, and it's kind of like, but if they ask me like, how do you feel about Michael Jackson? Then I'm going to tell them, I love Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson songs rock, and furthermore, he's been, all these rumors have been about him forever. He's never been found guilty. Furthermore, he's been found innocent.
He's been found innocent.
Yeah. The FBI was all over him for a decade. They said they found nothing of any impropriety. It's like, at some point, we still have to be a culture that says you're innocent until proven guilty. And he's never.
What happens?
I can still believe that he's a super weirdo.
Of course. Like,
what happens if if
tend to-
MJ was still alive and he did get caught? What's the situation there? Because if you compare both R. Kelly and like MJ, it's two different. Like
there's two different
different
standards there.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Like Michael Jackson. That's music. He's the king of pop, man. Like so many people grew up. So many people like people's first memories of music is Michael Jackson. Thriller album.
First time I remember hearing a DJ was somebody playing a Michael Jackson run in the car as a little kid and being like, "How did that song not stop?" And then there's a different song. That's my first memory of a DJ.
I think the one thing to remember. I mean. Certainly everybody has their own personal beliefs. And so there's certain people that, James Brown wasn't a saint. There's a lot of musicians. If you just start going through all the people that we play continuously, you're going to find a band member, or you're going to find a producer, or you're going to find, the artists themselves that have all these criticisms about them, because we're all human beings. Right. I think a lot of people obviously draw the line at children or rape and things like that. Those are like, almost unforgivable. It's hard to come back from those type of things. But like, a lot of people canceled Kanye when he came out with a lot of the political
came out with the MAGA hat on
opinions and the MAGA hat and the things that people are like, I'm never playing Kanye again. And then, people, will do the same for other artists. It happened to the Dixie Chicks.
It happened to Beyonce after the Super Bowl.
People
were like, oh, my goodness, I don't like
the
Black Panthers. And they were trying to protest that if they were on one side of the
Dixie out.
And so as a DJ, it's difficult because unless you're really drawing this same – keeping every artist to that same standard, you actually kind of look like the dummy.
Yeah.
You kind of look like a hypocrite a bit, it's like so it's difficult if you're going to start like, banning people from you playing them, but then someone else that you do play is pretty much the same person intertwined in what they did. It's just, you don't like their music or you wanted a reason to not like them. And, it's difficult to go down that slope.
And actually, one more thing to piggyback off of that, I think that when you're considering the old adage, like he who's without fault throw the first stone, that whole thing, you could take that and paint anybody that way if you examine them close enough. But there's also people that are a lot less well known. For example, there was a massive controversy with Bass Nectar an EDM producer
Right.
and DJ
Remember
over
that.
the entire course of the height of his career was like manipulating young girls and found guilty of it. Now there's like
apparently
therapy
Gaslamp
groups.
Killer as well.
Who?
Oh God,
Gaslamp Killer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You okay?
I didn't know about that one. It's
Wow, I
like
didn't know that either.
Yeah,
it
I
depends
remember
on like
seeing
the
that.
height you are. Some people are able to outlive it, and I feel like when we're talking about the major artists like an MJ, what other celebrity could stand on top of a building and a city shuts down when MJ was at the height of his career? Like he could outlive the idea of a conspiracy against
Not
him or
R.
whatever.
Kelly.
R. Kelly, he's found guilty. Like I feel like if the standard's going to be anything, you do have to raise everybody to the same standard, but should the guilty verdict be where you say, okay, this is not allowed and everybody understands it? I feel like
Right.
that's fair.
Right.
I feel like that's fair personally.
Well, and also, you know, we should have like a higher standard to follow. And I think with R. Kelly, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if it was permanently done, but I know like Apple Music and Spotify, they all removed his songs from their platform.
Did they?
So if the way
I
that
don't even have that.
if the way that people are consuming, the normal consumer is consuming music, if these big companies go, we're not playing his music anymore, that should kind of be a standard that we can follow, because we're like, hey, these companies that are a lot more responsible for a lot more than we are,
Right.
they're saying this is bad, then maybe the consumer and the DJ can understand, like, hey, you know, you can't even find his music on Spotify anymore. Like, you can't find Ignition.
At the end of the day,
let's
it's the
be real,
corporations that's run this thing. So
That
whatever they do, it's Bible.
That makes sense. And usually with things like substances and stuff or whatever, that leads to an underground market.
Yeah.
That's just a thought, you know.
But it's
I mean,
also,
I
it's
can
also
see a
song-
used
if
market
enough
of R.
people
Kelly
get
records.
canceled-
I don't
being-
think there's going to be an underground R. Kelly show.
There's
Nah.
underground R. Kelly parties.
Mm.
No, sorry, that was
where they play all 20 of the Trapped in the Closet.
yeah. Let's make fun of Trapped in the Closet.
I still have vinyl of those, man.
Yeah, man. You know it.
You guys have the vinyl.
For any of the younger DJs,
They're
you
the-
can
they're
look
the
this up on
bootlegs, too.
YouTube. There is a
Killer cuts.
whole thing where it was like 20-something episodes of basically musical theater.
Then he came to the closet. I was stuck in the closet.
And I pulled out my gun.
He opened the closet.
He had Ronald Isley in the
Ron
video.
Isley.
And the song, man.
He had some of the illest dudes in there, but like, as
Doc,
an
have you
extra-
ever heard those? The Trapped in the Closet series?
That was him trying to be
I don't think
Michael
so.
Jackson, like doing the
Well, he was trying to do the whole hip
Moonwalker.
opera, you know.
Hip
hip
opera,
hopper
yeah.
thing. Michael Jackson did it first, the best, anyways, bro. You know,
That
like Moonwalker was the best.
I think if I was to remember R. Kelly,
Best.
it was probably gonna be on the Trapped in the Closet series.
Yeah, or the Dave Chappelle skit.
The Dave Chappelle skit
Oh,
is
yeah,
what I
that-
thought.
Get that poop poop. And get that
Gonna pee on you.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
that's
I heard
my
those.
boy,
I heard
Robert.
But at the end of the
Look at
day,
him
guys, at the end of the day, I think you have to look at their work as if you know, for MJ, I mean, his songs are masterpieces. They're art. They're example of good art. I wouldn't necessarily say that with R. Kelly. So
Yeah. Well, and to your point too, you know, a lot of painters and artists, like,
yeah,
in that
Van Gogh,
sense, were
you know,
pretty twisted, messed up individuals too, and their, you know, art gets
Andy
sold for millions
Warhol.
of dollars.
Oh yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
those are very eccentric, you know, people and
Priceless.
crazy.
You know.
I'm sure they did some crazy shit,
Yeah.
you know.
Exactly.
So, but at the end of the day, you gotta look at, you gotta sometimes split if they produce really good art.
Can you
There's
appreciate
probably-
the art and be separate from the
It's a
person?
very difficult question. Can
You
you
know, I'm
it's a
going
difficult
with
question,
one.
but-
I think there's a firm
from a
answer
human
for it.
being, you know?
Say that
But
one more
again,
time,
if you
Chris.
compare MJ and R. Kelly, it's like no question. It's like, all right, yeah, R. Kelly, you can go away.
And you separate the artist from the human being is really
Yeah.
the main thing is like, this person's work of art, when they produce this, are you going to judge it based on what they do as a private person?
Here's one.
like Kanye. I think that at the end of the day, when everything's all said and done, Kanye, I mean, he's got masterpieces too, man. So it's like, you know, he's definitely that artiste that's like, you know, that's going to be revered for a long time, even how crazy he is, you know.
Yeah.
True indeed.
All right.
Speaking of the black market, vinyl market for R. Kelly parties.
Vinyl only R. Kelly party.
When's the bump and grind 7-inch vinyl commemorative set gonna come out?
Oh,
that is a good question. Yeah, Sanjay, are we seeing now? Because you know, on our last show, we talked about supply chain squeezes and things getting really expensive to ship out. Are we seeing the vinyl revival dying? Is it the end now of our vinyl revival?
I've got a strong feeling about the environmental stability part of any petroleum-based products, but in the grand scheme of like records being pressed as compared to any other like major petroleum-based products, vinyl is just, it's a small drop in the pan. But like there is an environmental factor that makes me go like, okay, well, if this is the end of the revival, it's okay because it's not good for the environment. However, there's a lot of other reasons why this is a interesting time to be observing this. Like you were saying, the manufacturing delays, the cost of
I was seeing
from point A to point B, all of that.
I mean, one thing is exactly it's putting a lot of pressure on independent vinyl labels, and so like paired up with environmental concerns, and right now the shipping squeeze, you know, it's just becoming a lot more expensive to produce and ship vinyl. And one like point that Tom Lee points out here is, he says, quote, "I don't think that an artist should have to press vinyl for one release to be taken more seriously than others. That creates an uncomfortable dynamic financially and environmentally." I was curious what you guys thought of that, or
I
what we can
think
take
the
away
first
from
thing
it.
I mean, as
that's
DJs, do
definitely
we
in this climate right now, like that probably couldn't have been said 25 years ago. Everything was based on your vinyl album release.
Yeah, because you physically had to go like live with the music. You bought the music, you took it home. There was the experience of like unsealing your record, or
not
taking
even
the thing out of
that.
the
That
CD
was just
case.
the step set in place to making it big. That was literally what it was. Get a record deal.
Well, I mean, even
the hours and put out
when you talk about you know, this subject is touchy with me because it's, you know, I owned a vinyl record store.
Of course.
So it's I certainly see both sides of it, but you know, when we all started off as DJs, most of us anyway, vinyl was the way you DJ'd. So vinyl was the lifeblood of how an artist would even be discovered. And Tom Lee, I don't know much about him. I don't know if he's a DJ or a music producer. Or, I didn't see the reference of who he is. Adrian, who was the guy that wrote that?
He is an artist manager for Local Action.
Okay. You know, I think still, even in today's day and age, people that press vinyl are in their own ways trying to be discovered. There's still people that they might make.
You mean artists that are getting vinyl pressed, or the plants?
No, the artists that are like, you know, they might not make a lot of money on Bandcamp or TrackSource or iTunes with their digital sales. They might not get a lot of streams, but they can still sell 2,000 copies of a record or 5,000 copies of a 7-inch, or, you know, and because the audience that
appreciate it,
the audience that wants their music wants it on vinyl.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't think he's very, I don't think he sees the entire spectrum of where, I don't think anybody would say that, you know, you're not cool if you don't press vinyl. I mean, I think there's plenty of music that goes out into the ethos of the world that doesn't get pressed on vinyl. But then for certain people, that is their lifeblood, because it's getting it to those DJs that only play vinyl in certain places, because they still do exist. And I think the pandemic has even taken some DJs and returned them to vinyl. Double A, our homie Double A is one of them. I mean, he's like, I haven't opened my Serato in like 18 months. He's like, I'm only trying to take gigs now where I can bring my 45s.
And flip out as well. Just like it's an opportunity to just do all the things that you wanted to do. And you can do it live streaming or you can do it in person.
Flip out still does Serato and stuff. I mean, Flip out is
a record head. Yeah.
He's just everything. Like he's just encompasses so much more than one thing. But like Double A in specific was like, if I never DJ on my Serato again, I'm fine. That doesn't mean he won't, but he's just like, I'm only trying to book myself at bars and clubs that will let me bring my vinyl because I want to do my thing, and that's what separates a lot of DJs is this guys that play only vinyl, they're getting booked to be themselves. And a lot of times, and they can, when someone comes up to you for a request, they're like, I just got these right here. Like even the people are kind of like, oh, well, I guess, all right. I guess
shouldn't have asked.
I guess I can't ask you to play that song, and I'll maybe even look at you a little different, like, whoa, okay, excuse me, sir, or man, But
Chris, I want to ask you this, like, what would happen? Because like right now, you can, you're seeing the revival, like vinyls being sold at Urban Outfitters, Walmart, whatever else. What happens if those big corporations decide, all right, yeah, let's listen to, whatever, it's an environment, it's not good for the environment. Let's make a certain group happy. Let's not sell it anymore. Well, what's going to happen with a lot of the like the plants that recently opened up, and what do you think would be like the big effect out of it? As far as if the big stores decide, all right.
Well, I think
is that officially the end of the vinyl?
No, I think the indie labels will finally get their records on time. They'd be happy because like right now the small labels get pushed to the back, and so true. They're the ones that have to wait for some big monumental repressing of an album like Led Zeppelin or the Beatles, because the majors can lock down so many of those
Chicago
those plants with their
stock.
That's
the point, though, is that it's getting expensive for these independent labels to continue to do this, and I think that's what's also the question of.
Yeah, and a lot of those independent labels, they're the way they stick out is releasing their artists on vinyl.
Right.
That's really how, if you want to stick out like from the crowd, you definitely want to say do like a vinyl only release of like a certain song.
A lot of dance music will come, if it's on vinyl, will be on vinyl for like 6 months sometimes, even before they release the digital,
or never ever digital at all.
Right. Exactly, because certain people, like any company, certain people actually see more value in limiting the amount of people that have it, as opposed to making it broad. So if the majors do jump and say we're going to stop pressing vinyl, I think it's probably, like I said, good for the smaller guys, because now they can actually have more timely release. And we've all talked about like the price of vinyl now for like a double vinyl album. I've seen it. It's like $35.
It's like an import price.
Yeah,
exactly.
Import vinyl price.
It was the import section prices.
Don't get it twisted. Everybody's making more money.
Right.
Everybody's making more money. The record labels are making more money. The record stores are making more money. Everybody's making more money because it's on a margin basis.
So does that mean if you're trying to get records pressed now, it costs more money to get records
pressed?
It costs more money. It costs more money to ship it. It costs more money to get the ingredients, and like that. That's what's driving up the price too.
Right.
So
what's the turntable company that sells like at Urban Outfitters?
Crawley.
Crosby. Yeah, it keeps them happy too.
Crosby. Yeah. Crosby turntables are on.
But here's the thing. Back in the day, if you pressed a ton of them and you were able to get all your costs under like $2.50, and then you sold it to a distributor at $3.50, and then that distributor sold it to the local record store at $4.50, and then the record store sold it at $5.99 or whatever it is. You're talking this, these are all based on margins. So when that margin now becomes $6 instead of $2.50, they're selling it to $6, to selling it to $12, to selling it to 18, 19 to selling it to 30 in the store. So that one record that used to cost $2 that you only made $2 on, you're now paying more for it, but you're making like $10 off.
10x on it.
So don't get it confused. Like the price is going up, but they're making more money because there's,
and I think there's one more piece of this that makes this an interesting observation. Every time these conversations that we're having right now come up and make their way to the top of the news cycle, this is what kind of helps them justify inflating those prices. Right. I got a chance to go to Third Man Records. My best friend lives in Detroit, and it's near the pressing plant is near his house. And when I walked in there, it was like, oh, this entire store exists because of the hype around re-release of vinyl becoming rarer and rarer. You can look in the back window and see the people that like clock in every day and press records. Like nothing has changed, but they know that they're making more money because they're the place that gets to press the re-release copies of stuff that people wanted to get, and they can only find it at Walmart, or they can come in and have the experience in the store. So then they charge, instead of that $30 at Walmart, they're going to charge $50, and it probably costs them $8 to make it.
There definitely is something to be said about the experience of a store,
Yeah.
But then that's kind of like the veil too.
Like a real record store.
Someone our age,
a section.
If I go in to experience that, it might not smell like the 90s, but at the end of the day, if I'm flipping it and I'm looking at those prices, I'm tricked. I'm like, wait, what's going on here? This is a sham. I know that. I'm too old, I guess, because I'm washed. Because I've been around the dollar bins. Yeah. I used to go straight to the dollar bins.
You're the younger one out of the whole group. Yeah. What's do you have any record store experiences?
Absolutely.
All right, there you go.
He was raised right.
Yeah, he goes on tape.
Absolutely. Well, this is really, I'm truly, I'm really interested in this question because I really love going to the record store and digging through the crates and finding new music in this way that's hands-on. And seeing how other people organize the music too, how every record store owner will organize stuff and what they curate. And it's awesome to go from one shop to another. And then each shop has its own community, its own merch. Not too long ago, even a friend of mine released a cassette. Shout out to Jackson Ryland. He's a local techno producer in DC, and I had a great time riding my bike through DC and going to ROM Records and Som Records, and then being like, "Hey, is Jackson's cassette here?" And being able to meet this guy and find new music that way and get my friend's cassette. But at the same time, and as one, you mentioned this real quick, that the cool thing you can do now with digital music, now that digital music is kind of at the forefront. It used to be that vinyl was the thing that was your mastered copy, and
master final
master. That's it, final. Now though, you can release a record, and kind of similar to digital news outlets, you can update it. Yeah.
Z, you can Control Z.
Control Z.
And remaster songs quietly as the albums are already out.
Right.
And the streaming date just changes of that new version. Whoever catches it, catches it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's also... go ahead.
Well, if you wanted to add to this.
Yeah, well, I was just in general, that's, again, not something that could have happened during the vinyl, not before during the vinyl era, basically, that was kind of the, the pinnacle. You put out the vinyl, you felt like you made it, but that was really the only one, that was the one way that the record companies made it possible for you to, have
another thing to consider too is when there's environmental pressure on an industry is typically good at trying to innovate from that, whether we see it in energy use or transportation. And there are plants that do have the ability to do recycled vinyl. We used to get a lot of recycled vinyl. There was actually pressing plants that when we would have really like dead stock that, you know, basically was at the giveaway level. Sometimes people wouldn't even want to take it home. It was so bad. And a lot of times it was normally like, you know, promos. Like
R. Kelly, Ignition,
trying to push a really bad promo record. And you just, they sent you all these ones.
Trapped in a closet.
You know, like they would buy them back at you. You know, like recycling bottles, you know, like 5 cents or whatever.
5 cents on the pound or whatever.
Yeah, they would come pick them up and take them back.
Right.
And so, you know, maybe more recycled vinyl. Maybe there's a different kind of ingredients that somebody will be able to make.
Somebody needs to innovate it. And
to make the vinyl still be here, because we still need Serato records.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Like, it's not just vinyl to find it as a double LP 180 gram. It's a Serato for our turntables.
Well, what else is like broken down melted vinyl?
What happens if phase is like foolproof?
Use for? You know,
well, it's not only that. I mean, I guess you need to find something else to put it on there.
Other industries.
That just like it could be old at that point, but
you could use a piece of acrylic if you're trying to not use the vinyl material for like having a record on your turntable to use with phase. Like that's basically what the Rain 12s are. It's like a piece of acrylic instead of a vinyl actual pressed piece of wax.
What about using like an old record cover and just like how we used to make like like slip mats before,
slip
you
mats,
know?
DIY slip mats and now DIY
cardboard slip mats.
Oh man,
that's what my brothers used to do. Like back in the 80s, man. It's like, all right, instead of like the record sleeves, it's like they probably didn't have access to the actual plastic record sleeves in the Philippines. So it was like a record. It was the record covers. They, you know, like they make slip mats out of that.
That right there, that experience that us as DJs coming from a vinyl appreciation perspective, I think is the thing that makes it interesting. And I'm kind of excited about the idea of like, if vinyl is not going to be shipped and manufactured internationally as much, this idea that these companies that have pressing plants can take recycled vinyl and repress it. And hearing Doc Bluss talk about the same experience of trying to go find a cassette tape right now.
Yeah.
For the average person, where's the last time you used a cassette player? You got to go on this adventure to like listen to the music. And us as the curators of music, we get to appreciate that effort and that journey of like, okay, I got to have a slip mat to play the record. So I got to use my cardboard sleeve because I don't have any plastic. I got to find the record. And then I got to find a turntable in decent shape. Like, we're the ones that keep that alive, and that's good. If it supports the smaller businesses, that's a good thing. There's a way to do the collecting and have that experience without making it out of vinyl. That's new. You can take the recycled parts, and if the market goes up, awesome. There's people that live off of it.
maybe
It's always vinyl's always gonna live. I mean, it's gonna live forever. It's the mass production of it that's gonna die off.
I don't think it needs to be a Walmart. Yeah,
Well,
That's correct.
we don't need the Beatles repressed again. Like, make that person go to a thrift store and find a copy. You know, like
that's the fun of it.
Maybe they'll find some sort of like technological way of like creating your own vinyl from like really like, you know, environmental. There we go, plastic vinyl.
3D
which is like a
just blocks. I can
find a new way to break down the composition of the science of it, and now vinyl can be melted into a 3D printer.
Vinyl made out of cigarette butts.
If he can have like a very environmentally safe vinyl
bottles,
one-off vinyl creator at home. I mean that's how it's gonna live. But anyways,
stay tuned because I've seen some things. But
vinyl tires,
exactly. We're gonna have to wrap it up. We got about 1 minute left, so everybody, if you're tuning in, thank you for tuning in. Make sure to click like, comment, give us a rating because it helps out, us move up the ranking, the charts. Again, this is the Teachers Lounge podcast. Come back every week. Visit us on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Beat Refinery. We're always live or we broadcast live every Monday night at 9 p.m. But so go ahead and support us. Keep visiting us. Keep supporting the podcast, and we'll see you guys next week.
Get back to class.
Get back to class.
Get back to class.
All right, everybody. Peace out.
Peace.
Peace.